Magandang umaga, Malacañang Press Corps, and welcome sa ating press briefing ngayon araw, January 2, at Happy New Year sa inyong lahat. During the sectoral meeting this morning, led by President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., the Anti-Money Laundering Council gave updates on the status of the Philippines in the Financial Action Task Force Gray List. The country was placed under the FATF Gray List in June 2021, and since then, the Marcos administration has shown high-level political commitment to meeting the concerns of FATF by strengthening the effectiveness of the country's anti-money laundering and combating terrorism financing system through EO 33 in June of 2023. At the meeting, the President gave a directive for the Anti-Money Laundering Council and concerned government agencies to ensure the implementation of action plans. And to give us more details on this, we have with us the AMLC Secretariat Executive Director, Attorney Matthew David. Good morning, Attorney David.
Good morning, Daphne. Yes, I'd like to confirm that during the sectoral meeting this morning with the President has reiterated the government's high-level political commitment and directed all government agencies concerned to swiftly address the remaining strategic deficiencies identified by the FATF in relation to the gray listing of the Philippines. The Philippines is aiming to address all these deficiencies within 2024 and to trigger the exit process from this FATF gray listing. All agencies have expressed, in fact, during the meeting, their commitment to address the deficiencies and are implementing measures to strengthen our AMLCTF or anti-money laundering, combating terrorism financing system in the Philippines. And everybody believes we are on the right track, and the President has commended the work of different agencies of government. The President also directed the agencies of the government to continue with their actions and to continuously sustain good coordination among themselves between the law enforcement and other government agencies.
Okay. Thank you for that briefing. Do we have any questions now from our audience? Katrina Domingo, ABS-CBN.
Sir, good morning. Sir, can you enumerate the deficiencies that the Philippines incurred since 2021?
Yes, we have originally in 2021, June, we have 18 recommended action plan items. But right now, we have a remaining of 8 action plan items remaining that we have to address. Some of these action items, medyo marami po sila. Some of these action items, I will just summarize in 5. One is regarding effective risk-based supervision of DNFBPs. DNFBPs are designated non-financial businesses and profession. That includes lawyers, accountants, jewelry shops, casinos, real estate developers, and brokers, among other DNFBPs. And the one in charge with this action item is the AMLC, for DNFBPs, and for the PCO, it's the casinos. And there's a need to increase the registration with the AMLC of these DNFBPs. Kaya nga we're encouraging all lawyers, accountants, and jewelry shops, and real estate developers, and brokers to register with AMLC and to perform their obligations as covered persons with the AMLC. For another action item is as regards AMLCTF controls to mitigate risks associated with casino junkets. And the one in charge with this is the PCO. Casino AMLCTF regulators like PCO should ensure that casinos are able to conduct customer due diligence on both the operator, the junket operator, and individual junket players. And of course, if the casino violate any of the rules and regulations of the AMLC and the PCO, they must impose or enforce penalties or enforcement actions on the casinos or the NFBP. Another action item that we have to address in relation to the gray listing of the Philippines is regarding enhancing and streamlining of access to beneficial ownership information. Tinatawag namin itong BO information, and taking steps to ensure that the BO information is accurate and up-to-date. The one in charge with this action item is the SEC. Corporations and legal persons under the SEC should increasingly submit BO information declarations with the SEC in compliance with SEC regulations. In fact, the SEC already issued regulations as regards submission of BO information. And LEAs, or law enforcement agencies, should request BO information from the SEC as regards their investigations. Another action item is demonstrating an increase in the money laundering and terrorism financing investigations and prosecutions in line with the risk of the Philippines. The agencies involved with complying or addressing this deficiency is the AMLC, the law enforcement agency, including the Philippine National Police, the PIDEA, NBI, NICA, ISAF, DOJ, among other law enforcement agency. Medyo mahaba-haba po itong listahan na to, pero what the FATF is looking for is that we should increase our money laundering investigations as well as terrorism financing investigations and prosecution in line with our risk. Another action item, which includes at least 2 action items po, we should demonstrate, one action item lang pala to, we should demonstrate that cross-border measures are applied to all main seaports and international airports in the country, including the detection of false declaration of currency and confiscation action resulting therefrom, with particular focus on high-risk activities in line with the risk profile of the Philippines. The agency involved with complying or addressing this issue is the BOC, Bureau of Customs. Since Bureau of Customs is the one requiring assist or implementing the distribution of foreign currency and customs declaration in all our seaports, international seaports, and airports. And they must also not only distribute this foreign currency declaration form, but also they must show that there are increased detection of false declaration and make the necessary corresponding confiscation actions. Those are the most important action items that the Philippines should address in order for us to eventually exit the FATF gray list.
Just a follow-up question, sir. I understand that the deadline to comply or to resolve all these issues was last January 2023. What were the hurdles that blocked or that hindered the Philippines in complying with all these requirements, and how do you actually hurdle those blockades?
Of course, the hurdles, as I mentioned, these are the 8 action items remaining that are yet to be addressed. The FATF gives us ratings for each action items, and most of these remaining eight action items are still partly addressed, and one is not yet not properly addressed. And the most challenging action item is regarding terrorism financing prosecution. We need to file more terrorism financing cases. And the one in charge with complying with this action item is the law enforcement agencies, including the AMLC.
Okay. Maricel Halili, TV5.
Hi, sir. Magandang umaga po. Sir, why is it important for us to address these deficiencies sa FATF? Ano ba yung magiging epekto nito if hindi natin siya na-meet?
Yes, our goal is to eventually exit the gray list. There are repercussions for being in the gray list because the longer we are in the gray list, the bigger the possibility or the higher risk that we will enter the blacklist. Of course, we don't want to be in the blacklisted jurisdiction. And if we will be in the blacklisted list, there are repercussions to that. And one of the repercussions is the effect on our transactions of our OFWs. Our OFWs usually send remittances to their families here in the Philippines. If we will be blacklisted, we are not yet blacklisted, we are still graylisted right now. The FATF will impose countermeasures on the Philippines and international financial transactions of Filipinos abroad. That is, for example, as the remittances of the OFWs, there will be increase in cost, more requirements, stringent requirements, or sometimes de-risking, or sometimes the transactions may be denied or disapproved. We don't want that to happen, so all government agencies are aiming to address those deficiencies, 8 remaining action item plans, and eventually exit the gray list this year, 2024.
Okay. Eden Santos, Net 25.
Hello po, Attorney. Good morning. Doon po sa funding terrorism, meron po ba tayong mga information, mga intel report na may mga pumapasok po sa Pilipinas na mga pondo from other countries na para po pondohan yung terror act dito? Meron ba?
For intelligence information, confidential pa ho yun, but we have already filed cases for terrorism financing which are now pending in court. We cannot disclose the details of those cases, but there are typologies. Perhaps in general, based on those investigations, we have been receiving reports, and based on the investigation reports of our investigators, that some funds are coming from abroad, from different countries, and then they are being used for terrorism financing here in the Philippines.
Ano pong grupo yung pinopondohan dito sa Pilipinas?
These are now pending in court. I'm not at liberty to disclose the details yet because sub judice pa ho ito mga to. But there are organizations, NGOs, and designated terrorist organizations that are receiving these funds from abroad.
So, ibig sabihin po talagang may mga terrorist dito sa Pilipinas?
Regarding terrorists po, they are declared or designated terrorist individuals or organizations by the ATC. Sila po ang nagde-designate po ng mga terorista, whether individuals yan or organization. And the ATC has a list in their website of these terrorist individuals and organizations po.
Mga ilan po yun? Ilang kaso at ilang grupo yung involved doon? And then, kailan po nag-start yung investigation, yung filing ng cases? Kasi kung nalagay tayo sa gray list po ng FATF, ibig sabihin medyo mabagal yung ating ginagawang investigation.
Eden, the terrorism issues would be addressed not by AMLC. Also, maybe you could give us a brief background on why we were placed in the gray list in 2021.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were placed in the gray list in June 2021 by the FATF. Before that 2021, we have a mutual evaluation. A mutual evaluation was conducted in the Philippines regarding our AML-CTF system, as mentioned by Daphne a while ago. This is anti-money laundering, counter-terrorism of financing system in the Philippines. There is a technical compliance and there is an effectiveness compliance. Yung technical compliance po this is as regards the laws and regulations that we need to pass or implement in the Philippines. Pasado na po tayo sa technical compliance. Yung mga batas po natin na napasa noong time na yon ay yung Anti-Terrorism Act, amendments po sa Anti-Money Laundering Act as amended, among other rules and regulations and laws. Pasado na po tayo sa technical compliance. Ngayon, the FATF gave us 18 recommended action items which we should address. 18 po, as I mentioned a while ago, to measure and assess the effectiveness of the rules and regulations and the laws that we have passed. Right now, we have 8. As I mentioned a while ago, sinamarize ko po yun, yung 8 action items po na yon. That's the history of the gray listing of the Philippines. And in June 2021, the FATF found that we have still strategic deficiencies out of the 18 recommended action item plans that we have to address. Ngayon po, we have complied 10 out of the 18. Katulad ng sabi ko, may 8 na lang po tayong kailangan i-address.
Okay. Any questions? Jean Mangaluz, Inquirer.net.
Hi sir, so sa MC37, nakalagay, kailangan makalabas tayo by, ma-address yung 8 action points by January 2024. And now it's for the entirety of 2024. So it keeps moving. Ano po yung deadliest deadline na binigay ng FATF for us to exit bago tayo ma-blacklist?
Yes, the deadline given by FATF was January 2023. It was last year already, and it was not extended. However, since we already did not meet the deadline of January 2023, we're still in the gray list. And our aim, the aim of the government, is to exit the gray list this January 2024. That was a self-imposed deadline. But we are still hopeful that we will exit the gray list this year, 2024.
Pero do we know if there's a time frame before we enter the blacklist?
There is no time frame because the FATF doesn't give a time frame whether we will exit the gray list or whether we will enter the blacklist. The FATF doesn't do that. Rest assured that all government agencies in charge with addressing all strategic deficiencies, 8 remaining strategic deficiencies, are doing everything they can to complete the action items and for us, the Philippines, to eventually exit the gray list.
Okay. Ivan Mayrina, GMA 7.
Attorney, good morning. If I may backtrack a bit, can you just please explain to us what the listings mean? Pag blacklisted ka ba, does that mean you're a money laundering haven? And if you're in the gray list, you're a few degrees lower than that? Please explain it to us.
When you are in the blacklist, it just means that the FATF thinks that you have several strategic deficiencies that you haven't addressed yet regarding your AML or anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism of financing system. That's why they given us recommended actions. If we don't complete or address those strategic deficiencies, we will eventually enter the blacklist. And perhaps you already know kung sino-sino yung mga nasa blacklist. It's already public, yung Iran, yung North Korea, and also recently Myanmar. Yan po ang nasa blacklist. And if you are in the blacklist, as I mentioned a while ago, yung countermeasures will already kick in, and this is being imposed by the FATF. The jurisdictions within the FATF will be expected to conduct enhanced due diligence over the financial transactions of our nationals and those linked with the Philippines if we enter the blacklist. And one of the repercussions is that, as I mentioned a while ago, yung OFW natin, maapektuhan mga transaksyon nila. It's either higher cost, more requirements, documentary requirements, and sometimes de-risking or their transactions will be disapproved. Yan po ang repercussions ng blacklisting. We're not yet on that list. We're still on the gray list.
But being in the gray list, does that affect our status as an investment destination or maybe our credit rating?
Yes, it's basically there's already a reputational risk on the Philippines, particularly on the economy. It may affect our credit rating. As you very well know, ang World Bank and even the IMF is looking into also the status of the Philippines regarding the gray list. Also, it might also affect foreign direct investments in the Philippines because if you don't exit the gray list, they might think that our AML-CTF system is not adequate enough or sufficient enough or strong enough as regards money laundering and terrorism financing.
Thank you.
Okay. Eden Santos again.
Attorney, dun lang po sa anong action plan ng gagawin natin para yung mga possible na mga terror funds hindi po makapasok sa Pilipinas?
Yes, we have 3 action items regarding terrorism financing. Nabanggit ko nga kanina, meron tayong action item on terrorism financing identification, it means that the law enforcement agencies and also the AMLC will have to identify kung sino yung mga persons of interest or possible terrorist or terrorism financiers. Pangalawa, the law enforcement agencies also should investigate terrorism financing. And also, eventually, after investigation, they should prosecute and file cases for terrorism financing. 3 action items po ito na we need, or the law enforcement agencies will have to address eventually as part of our goal to exit the gray list.
Okay, last question, Jean Mangaluz.
Attorney, do you have the number of convictions of money laundering here in the Philippines? Kasi the last one here says that it's 55.
Right now, I don't have the figures right now, but there is already several money laundering cases and convictions for money laundering cases. And also, we also have convictions for terrorism financing also recently.
Okay. Happy New Year. Okay, Ann Soberano, Bamborajo.
Attorney, ask ko lang, may na-monitor ba ang AMLC this year na may pumasok na terror funds dito sa Pilipinas? Thank you.
I believe po I cannot answer that question yet because any intelligence information po is confidential po with the AMLC kasi dun po sa Anti-Money Laundering Act, any information that comes into our possession by virtue of our office is confidential until we file the necessary case po regarding.
Pero may intel report. May
Okay.
intel report po kayong natanggap. Yun na lang po.
Right now wala po ako natatandaan na na-receive namin report na may terrorism financing funds na pumapasok sa Pilipinas.
Okay. I think we can end our press briefing here. Thank you so much, Attorney
Thank you,
David.
Daphne.
And thank you, Malacañang Press Corps. And Happy New Year again. Thank you.
Thank you.